Oh man, it's no longer just a pipe dream. Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. Take your seatbelts, wrap it around your waist, and plug it into the open socket because we have ourselves a controversy. A legit controversy when it comes to an NHL award that I have been just so passionate about over the past few seasons. With Barzal and Besser, the rivalries when I was in my grade 12 year in high school. Oh, Besser versus Barzal, the speedy scoring center who can get secondary assists versus the best Vancouver sniper the team had seen in a very long time in Brock Besser. The next year, it's Elias Pettersson versus Jordan Binnington. The year after that, who's the best number one young defenseman rookie in the NHL? Is it Cale Makar? Is it Quinn Hughes? Is it Adam Fox? Who is it? This trophy, the Calder Trophy for the NHL's Rookie of the Year, has been my lifeline. It's been the most anticipated award for me personally the past few seasons, and this year, granted, it's a lot more different this year because we had ourselves no Vancouver Canucks in realistic contention this year. I know Höglander was in there for like a little bit, like 2 days I think, but not really anymore, not really in the slightest respect. However, talking about the actual race for this year's Calder Trophy, what we had for the majority of this season, and if you've been paying attention to the videos, you've seen this one popping up quite a bit, is a guy who probably ran away with the lead earlier on. We had ourselves a brand new Russian guy in Minnesota, of all places, coming out here, showing off his dominance. He was a great player at the Olympics, in the KHL, at the World Championships. He was all over Russia and Pyeongchang doing his thing and being a hockey superstar, but just not in the NHL until this season. His name was Kirill Kaprizov, and we've made a ton of videos about this guy, talking about the point records, how he matches up against Kuznetsov and Tarasenko and all that, talking about how he could be one of the best hockey players in the world, just not playing in the NHL, and how it was just a matter of time before we saw these skills, the shot, the agility, the work ethic, the puck dangles. It was a matter of time before we saw all these things come over to Minnesota, the state of hockey, playing alongside of Kevin Fiala and Marco Rossi and all the great players they had over there to replace Eric Stahl and the production that guy had. We were excited for Kaprizov. And Minnesota Wild fans will be very quick to tell you that yes, the hype has paid off. This guy is incredible. This guy scored his 19th goal yesterday, which breaks the Minnesota Wild franchise record for most goals by a Wild rookie, overtaking Marian Gaborik in 2000-2001. It's been 20 years since Minnesota has had a prospect this good, this dominant, and just taking a look at the games and the goals per game, yeah, there's no question about it. Gaborik had 18 goals in 71 games, Kaprizov 19 in 45. Absolutely phenomenal right there. In fact, this entire season's been great to Kaprizov. 45 games played, 19 goals, 19 assists, 38 points on the season. He's been unstoppable. And in fact, the lead that he had earlier on was so big that I think everybody, myself included, was kind of thinking, yeah, the Calder is won by Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov. It's the subway guy, Dolla Bill Kirill over here, who's probably going to get that award in the same way that Pettersson ran away with it in 2019, right? But you know what I'm saying here? I'm going to say it's not really that close anymore. Because when you take a look at the Calder race, we've said this in, I think, all the videos so far, talking about the Calder and these awards. But the Calder is pretty much at its core, unless you're a goaltender who becomes a starter instantly for your hockey team, it's pretty much just a points race. At least in the modern day NHL. I'm talking modern as in like this year, last year, 2 years ago. None of the stuff from like 2006 or 2008 and all that. The Calder is pretty much in today's NHL a point race. You usually see forwards win it. You usually see guys who lead the rookie class in points win it. And if you're not a forward, you better be a gosh darn good offensive defenseman. Either that or your name is Aaron Ekblad. But when it comes to the rookie race, the recent winners have mostly just been the guys who have the most points. And when it comes to Kirill Kaprizov playing on a very balanced Minnesota Wild team that has so much depth goal scoring, so much production coming from all of their guys, Kaprizov is doing very well, don't get me wrong. But just a little bit down south. buckle your seatbelts and travel down I-35 southbound over to Dallas, Texas. You will see a half Filipino, half American guy who is out here with his own production that's really amped itself up over the past few days, and his name is Jason Robertson. I think we have a legit Calder race now because Jason Robertson, on a Dallas Stars team that got held back by the infections, they got all taken out at the beginning of the season. They didn't start until like 2 weeks after, something like that. Jason Robertson, a rookie who is not only younger than Kirill Kaprizov, but who is also playing in his second full professional season, has come out here as one of the best Dallas Stars players, if not the best forward on the team, with 35 points in 40 games played, 14 goals, 21 assists. He's a plus 17 on the year. He has a higher plus minus. He has a higher points per game than Kaprizov, and he's getting first-line minutes playing with Rupe Hintz. Now, Hintz has been extraordinarily good this season. I get that. But a lot of that can be attributed just to Jason Robertson himself and how good this guy in particular is at driving play, finding open space, being the trigger man when he needs to be, and finding his guys when he has the puck on his stick. Jason Robertson has been one of the most explosive and impressive stories out of the Dallas Stars system this year. And his production is so tightly knitted with Kirill Kaprizov, that whom many people believed would have been the runaway favorite if you asked them like a month and a half ago. Again, myself included. And so now you have to start asking yourself all the hypothetical questions that arise when you start thinking about the Calder race and when things get close and all that, because Kirill Kaprizov's in a position where he could definitely win the Calder, and I would not be surprised in the slightest. But if Jason Robertson continues producing at the way he is at, and he continues upping that points per game, tightening the gap with Kaprizov, things become a lot more interesting because all of a sudden, hey, it's Panarin McDavid from 2016 all over again. Now, not with the same extravagantly severe circumstances, but it's a lot closer, I would think, because back in 2015-16, when Connor McDavid made his debut in the NHL, Artemi Panarin was this brand new, hot, fresh, young rookie, fresh out of the oven, the Panera bread right there, going over to Chicago. He played with Patrick Kane. He was phenomenal. He was crazy good, but he was under a point per game. Connor McDavid, on the other hand, was over a point per game that season. But his year was cut short because he was taken out with a very severe injury. However, the impact to their teams, you could say, was somewhat similar. And you had the arguments going around, well, why is Panarin even being considered in the same boat as McDavid? Because Panarin is like 6 years older than the guy. He has played in the KHL, which is already a pro men's league, for the past half decade. When he started in the KHL, Connor McDavid was a preteen. So how is this fair to compare them on the same wavelength? And regardless, the entire argument that existed back then, which justified it to me, was that the Calder isn't necessarily for who is the most important rookie or who is the best player who happens to be a rookie. The Calder is awarded to the best rookie season. And when it comes to that, differences in age isn't really going to be considered, because as long as you're under the threshold of being in the eligibility for the Calder and you're in your first full year, hey, your eligibility is in theory the same as everybody else. The Calder will just be awarded to which among these Calder eligible players has the best season. That's it. And Connor McDavid, even though he was over a point per game, he had better production than Panarin. He didn't play half the games. Panarin played all the games. So it's easy to see why, okay, if you take a look at it just from fundamentally, which season was better, Panarin's season was better, therefore he won. This season, though, the gap was so far apart, only to have Jason Robertson come out here and score 11 points in his previous 8 games, riding a 5-game point streak, where in those 5 games the guy's got 8 points. Yeah, he's been really kicking it up a notch, and if this pace continues and if he eventually overtakes Kaprizov or kind of just ties him straight out, I think that is the only time when you start thinking about, okay, the line mates, the deployment, the ice time, the minutes, and the other factors like age, like professional experience. Because Kirill Kaprizov, I mean, I never want to use this as a means to attacking a guy, but he has played a ton in the KHL before. Jason Robertson, 2 years ago, is playing in the OHL, so that's junior hockey right there, not necessarily a pro rank. So I'm getting really excited, dude, just seeing how the race is shaping up. We're in for a grand finish, especially since both of these teams, the Wild and the Stars, are doing pretty all right in their own standings. The Minnesota Wild pretty much locked in that third place spot in the Western Division. The Central Division, though, it's a little bit tighter. The Dallas Stars are out there with 50 points in 45 games. They trail the Predators by 2 with 3 games in hand, so things are going to get very interesting. And of course, Kirill Kaprizov, Dolla Bill Kirill, Jason Robertson, these guys are going to have a very big part in most of the victories that these teams start to string along in the next few weeks. So talk to me in the comments what you think about the Calder race right here. I hope you enjoyed this Visage Rolls 99. And bye.